Oh, hi there. This is the prelude to Yes We Canada, where we ask you to become a member of the Resistance and kindly support our independent podcast with a monthly donation that you can cancel at any time. Easy peasy. Go to yeswecanada.com/buzzsprout.com and hit support. Okay, let's Yes We Canada and chill.
This is the Yes We Canada podcast, the progressive's guide to getting the fuck out.
Hey, I'm Matt Zimble in Montreal. This episode was recorded on April 22nd, 2025. It's called Vote Early, Vote Often. Canada goes to the polls Monday, April 28th for the most consequential election of our lifetimes. Oh yeah, we've all heard that before, huh? And the Liberals now have a new leader. His name is Mark Carney. He was born in the Northwest Territories, studied economics at Harvard and Oxford, but more importantly, he was the backup goalie on the Harvard varsity hockey team.
Moves it to the middle!
He became the governor of the Bank of Canada during the 2008 recession crisis, did such a great job that he was offered the same gig by the British in London, the governor of the Bank of Canada. Pip, pip. Now, you guys have been with the pod for a few seasons, and you know there is nothing Canadians love more than when our people are honored on the world stage, thereby confirming our superb judgment at home. Carney's got a nice Canadian public persona. He exudes calm. He's unfailingly polite with a soft twinkle in the eye and a wry sense of humor. My man feels like a card-carrying member of the ruling class. You can just picture him at the head of the table in some boardroom high above the clouds, moving money around the world to save a corporate entity their taxes. But he's never stood before the electorate. He's never doored to door. And he's never stood in front of a rabid pack of journalists scrumming the PM's face off on the intimate details of his investment portfolio. Well, gosh, he gets a little bit testy, as one would only expect from a chairman.
Hardworking people around me and those like them in the trades. And that's what my job is.
I'll take that as a no then.
No, you'll take that as a very comprehensive answer to your question.
The party is called the Liberals, but they are not always liberal. You might call them humanist centrists, if you are a stuffy intellectual scholar, which you're not. But under Trudeau, the Liberals truly were the most leftist government to ever lead the Dominion. I mean, at one point, there were conspiracy theories going around that Trudeau was actually the illegitimate child of an illicit romance between his mother, Margaret, and family friend Fidel Castro. During COVID, Trudeau grew a beard, and you know, on certain days, with certain angles, it kind of seemed almost plausible. Oh God, we're getting into TMZ territory here, for God's sakes.
TMZ.
Oh, thanks, Pi, keeping the pronunciation Canadian, eh? Okay, before we finish with Trudeau, and indeed the guy seems to be finished, he's like utterly vanished, I want to go on the record because that's what you guys pay me for. For those of us on the left, I believe Trudeau's legacy will age well. His government created a national daycare program for affordable $12 a day daycare. He increased transfers to the provinces for health care. He gave small business a leg up with tax reductions and other supports, making Canada the #1 place in the G7 for small business. By legalizing pot, he reduced burdens on the courts, the cops, and the prisons. He stood up for women. With the possible exception of a few important female cabinet ministers. He was there for the LGBT community. He handled COVID with dexterity and compassion. He fought hard for Ukraine. He created vastly improved relations with the indigenous people of this land. He navigated Trump's abusive and volatile behavior in the first Trump years. His government made improving child poverty a priority, and they substantially delivered on it. Trudeau was a better steward of the environment than any other PM in our history. And under our handsome fella, the Liberals made the first steps on dental care and pharmacare with an assist from the NDP, bien sûr. I wish he had done more for the innocent citizens of Gaza, and please note there is a difference between a Gazan and a Hamas member. In fact, there are many things that I wish he had done better, faster, more effectively, but governing Canada is complex. Minority governing, even more so. I think Trudeau's performance in office and the legacy of his accomplishments will be regarded with deep respect in a few years. Now I tell you this, and I am not now, nor ever will I be, a member of the Liberal Party. Full disclosure, I'm a recovering supporter of the NDP, and I look at this election very much like I look at my grandson's recent toilet training. Anything but PP. Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party. We're going to get to Pierre in a minute, but after Carney became leader in March, last month, Parliament was dissolved. At dissolution, the Liberals held 160 seats, 10 short of a majority government. In our last election, which was in 2021, the party that came in second and got the questionable prize of official opposition status was the Conservative Party. They won 119 seats, a loss of 2 from the previous Parliament. At the time, the Cons were led by a doughy white guy named Aaron O'Toole. He was trying to move the party to the center, to reassure the electorate that the Conservative Party, that often spoke about things like creating a barbaric cultural practices snitch line to the RCMP, were not, like Conservatives truly are. I mean, you can fill in the blank however you want. But the Conservative knuckle-dragging staunchies were having none of O'Toole's retooling. As leader of the opposition, your entire gig is to traffic in outrage. Well, O'Toole didn't have an outrage button. A moderate complainer was the best he could muster. But he did soften a few Conservative policy pillars during the campaign, and even though the party won the popular vote, they could not form a government, and Conservatives did what they do best, and ate their young. Which is sad because leader of the opposition is a super cool gig that comes with a mansion and a car and a driver. But then, the Conservatives refreshed their leader by electing a nerdy dude with a temper and an undying love of slogans.
Common sense Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime, and protect your drug plan. How about that?
That's Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. Pierre's life began modestly, raised by school teachers in the West. He's been a lifelong politician and was in the right-wing cabinet of Stephen Harper's Conservatives, which was no doubt a joyous place to hang out. He's only 45 and has already been in Parliament for 20 years. Now, he's the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, and he just had an election campaign makeover. Calm down. He looks like the regional manager of produce for a medium-sized grocery chain. He's got contact lenses now instead of glasses, open-neck shirts instead of ties.
Just don't mess up my hair, bunghole.
Don't worry, dude. I'm making you look cool.
Whoa. I'm like even more cool looking than normal.
Actually, it's been said that Pierre's comportment reminds many women of their first husband, which was once said about that former patrician sex symbol in the White House, George H.W. Bush Sr. Pierre Poilievre, or PP, his nickname to us libtards, is a Conservative attack dog. All the dog whistles. What climate change? Reduce immigration. Tough on crime. Gay marriage negative. Defund the CBC. I don't need to waste your time reciting the positions. You know them all by heart. What is interesting is his dad is gay. His wife, Anita, is an immigrant from Venezuela who is very beautiful and very smart. And she's a powerhouse behind a podium in 3 languages. Okay, I know that likely sounded super patronizing, but hey, her Insta handle is Pretty and Smart Incorporated. So, please, I'm just the messenger. Poilievre is just like Trump. He marries an immigrant, and now he wants to stop immigration. What would Freud say about that? Pi, Get Freud on the line.
He's dead.
Offer him double scale.
All right.
As we mentioned earlier, Pierre's been in politics his whole career. A member of parliament for 20 years, a cabinet minister, etc. And in all that time, he's passed one bill. Count 'em, one bill. A bill on election financing that the right-leaning Globe and Mail, our New York Times, published a 5-part series of editorials on how Pierre's bill will harm the, quote, foundation of Canadian democracy. I mean, just think of it. Can you imagine how PP's gay dad must have felt when his son stood in the House of Commons and voted against gay marriage? That's positively Lindsey Graham-esque. Well, Pierre One Bill qualified for his parliamentary pension when he was 31 years old. Living large, baby. But as a member of the conservative Stephen Harper cabinet, he voted to raise Canadians' qualifying age for age-old security and the Elders' Guaranteed Income Supplement from 65 to 67, which was the biggest cut to Canadians' public pension plan in history. Thanks, PP. You got yours, my man. Sidebar alert. When Trudeau took power, the Liberals restored the retirement benefit to age 65 and increased the payments to seniors because that's what libtards do. They actually care about their elders' quality of life. Okay, let's dial the pod back to January 2025 before Trudeau resigned. PP's 45. He's ensconced in the leader of the opposition's mansion at Stornoway. He's got the car and the driver, a hugely generous parliamentary pension in the bag. His contacts look better than the glasses, and his business casual vibe is rockin'. But what he really, really wants is to be Prime Minister. And now that Justin is circling the drain, Pierre can actually taste it. He's up 15 to 20 points in the polls. Effectively, he's the Prime Minister in waiting. Oh man, that sounds good. Warm up the motorcade. In my research, I have found that people who ride in motorcades tend to have a strong sense of self. Okay. Poilievre amps up his attack dog campaign with monosyllabic policy positions.
Common sense conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime, and protect your drug plan.
Hey, we just played that clip.
Yeah, I know we just played that, but that's all we've been hearing up here for the past 2 years, non-fucking stop. So I called for it again in the show lineup because I wanted to give our besties the exalted and endless experience of Pierre's whining. Slogans aside, at this writing, a few meager days before the general election, it's starting to look dicey for PP. The cons are down by 5 or 6 points depending on the poll, and us libtards are feeling cautiously optimistic. Just like we were with Kamala.
Well, we are not going back.
Well, that was hopeful. Now, when we talk American politics, we cover the Dems and the GOP and the odd indie like Bernie, and then that's it, we're done. But not up here in Canada. We have more parties because Canadians love to party. In fact, in Canada, the partying never stops. We still have the Green Party. Now, this won't take long because there's only 2 of them. But their co-leader used to be one of yous guys. Her name is Elizabeth May, and she's an American immigrant. You see, there may be a glam future up here for you after all. The Greens are having a tough election because since Modus, moron of the United States, introduced tariffs, no one's talking about climate change during this election. In fact, the Greens got kicked off the leaders' televised debate the day before the debate because the debate commission said that they no longer qualified, which is an incredibly stunning story that I will share with you personally if you just reach out to me on email. The link is in the show description. Okay, the next party we're going to study is called the Bloc Québécois. They hold 33 seats, all from Quebec. This party was started by a disgruntled cabinet minister in the Conservative government in the 1990s with the single objective of representing the interests of Quebec in the House of Commons. They tend to lean Social Democrat, and they are staunch independentists. Because Quebec is what we call in Canada a distinct society, that's French, having the bloc in Ottawa makes sense. It's almost like Quebec has 33 lawyers in the nation's capital keeping an eye on the government. Back in the early 90s, Quebecers were so mad at the federal government, which was conservative at the time, that in their very first election, the Bloc Québécois stunned the country and won the second most seats in Parliament, making them Her Majesty's loyal opposition. Except they were anything but loyal because their entire mandate was to Chris Lurcan, which is French for get the fuck out of Canada. Their current leader, Yves-François Blanchet, is a former rock manager, and you know those guys. Oh man, they're screamers. You call this a dressing room? This is a fucking meat locker. You either get my honest a proper dressing room or you could forget about having a show in your bar tonight. And if I see one more fucking brown M&M in the M&M bowl, this show is canceled. Not exactly as portrayed, but you get the idea. That, but in French. Meet the New Democratic Party. There are 25 of them in the House at the moment, and to understand their stand, just imagine having 25 AOCs in your Congress. They are socialistical, and though they never formed a federal government in Canada, they are the reason why you get a Woody when you think about moving here, because the NDP is responsible for bringing universal single-payer healthcare to Canada. Until September of last fall, the NDP had a written agreement to support the Liberals so the Liberals could form a minority government. The deal they had with the Liberals even had a fancy name, the Supply and Confidence Agreement. But, title notwithstanding, you get it. It's horse trading, right? The NDP said to the wannabe Trudeau government, you do legislative programs for us and we'll let you keep the motorcade. And the NDP held the Liberals' feet to the socialistical fire. They made the Libs create a dental care program and a pharma care program. The NDP are led by a guy named Jagmeet Singh. Jagmeet's the first Sikh to lead a major Canadian political party. He's unquestionably the best-dressed man on the Hill. Double-breasted bespoke suits, bespoke socks, bespoke pocket squares, bespoke turbans, GQ like you don't often see on the Hill. But after being bullied as a kid for being brown, he's not only a scrapper in the House.
People are right to be angry. They've got a prime minister who's more interested in protecting his own job than defending Canadians against Trump. We've got a prime minister who's failed to defend workers from rich CEOs that the Conservatives love, who continue to rip off Canadians and drive up the cost of food and homes. The prime minister has failed. For New Democrats, it's always workers first and not CEOs. And not CEOs who the Conservatives want to defend. So will the Prime Minister acknowledge he has failed? He has to quit.
He can take it outside, too.
Developing news here at home, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has a verbal altercation with someone on Parliament Hill today.
Bastard. Want to say something? What? Want to say something? I say nothing? Who said that? You got something to say?
I didn't say corrupted bastard, but I
said... Is that what you said?
No, I did not say that.
Who said it?
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it.
At 46 years old, he's a smart guy, argues his positions like the defense attorney he is, my kind of leader. Positive, tough, and for the people. And unfortunately, he's about to get trounced. You see, one of the problems the NDP has is that after propping up the minority Liberal government, it's very hard to get the electorate to recognize what programs and policies they championed and basically crammed down the Liberals' throats. Another problem the NDP has is they were always the leftists on Parliament Hill until Trudeau arrived and out-leftied them. You see, in 2015, the NDP was the official opposition party. They had 103 seats in the House, the biggest they had ever had. The Liberals under Trudeau were the third party in Parliament. The country was sick and tired of 9 years of conservative mean girl rule under Stephen Harper, and so the NDP could taste government. The motorcade was within reach. The leader of the NDP at the time, a crusty lawyer from Quebec by the name of Thomas Mulcair, pulled the party to the centre to prove to Canadians that the NDP were not radical lunatic leftists and would be fiscally responsible with their tax dollars while being socially socialist. But the Liberals pivoted to the left of the NDP, and he shoots, he scores! Trudeau wins with a majority government!
Sunny ways, my friends, sunny ways.
Yeah, kind of hippie, huh? Sunny ways. Now, this is a story being taught in contemporary poli-sci at a Canadian university near you. But you're getting it here for, well, you're getting it for whatever you pay for this podcast. Thank you, by the way. We talk about socialism here all the time, but we're ardent capitalists on this show when it comes to supporting production costs. For us libtards, this particular election is painful. It's about the dual threat of Pierre Poilievre's right-wing scorched earth conservatives and Donald Trump's 51st state hostile takeover.
Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
The libtards want to be certain that there is no conservative government, so they will not split their votes on the left, and it looks like the NDP is going to pay the price for that. And that is very sad, because with fewer NDP folks in the House, a Liberal government, if elected, will definitely move to the centre, particularly under a recovering Governor of the Bank of Canada, Mark Carney.
You've got mail.
Oop, wait a minute, hang on a second here. What's this? Oh, the Pope just died. Jesus, Murphy.
Tonight, Catholics mourn their spiritual leader. Pope Francis has died at the age of 88.
Okay, full disclosure, I am not a religious man, but I should do a little tribute to the Pope, a little cold cut. It's what journalists call it when they make up a obituary before the person has actually left Earth, if you will. In any event, culturally, I'll explain my background. I'm a Jew, but not practicing. I'm also a percussionist, also not practicing, which is even a deeper point of shame. Generally, I think it would be fair to say that the Pope came across as a radical leftist lunatic, at least in that bastion of progressive thinking, the Vatican. As my friend, the singer, songwriter, humorist, and part-time national treasure Nancy White used to say, what could possibly go wrong for a woman taking sexual advice from a man wearing a long white dress? Oh, we're going to get mail.
You've got mail.
I live in Quebec, where for the past 400 years, the Catholic Church and the politicians they deputized terrorized the people of this province. It's a real scar. As a result, the people of Quebec want a society where the state and the church are very separate. I mean, I have actually been at dinner parties where the entire discussion, the entire evening, was on whether public service employees should be permitted to wear religious symbols at work. Which brings me back to Jagmeet Singh's Sikh faith. Is a man who wears a turban electable as PM in Canada? And this kind of discussion reminds me of my exceptionalist American friends and their pained talk about former presidential candidate and cabinet secretary Pete Buttigieg. Clearly, Mayor Pete is an exceptionally talented politician, a superb communicator, and a dude who has proven he knows how to be an effective cabinet secretary. But because Pete is gay, they quietly ask, is America ready for a first husband in the White House? Could a gay man be elected to be POTUS? Well, over here, Canadians ask, would we elect a man who wears a turban to be Prime Minister? I ask myself, if I was in a crisis situation, like a war or an environmental disaster, or say just for the fun of it, the end of rule of law in America, and my leader told me his plan, and the plan included the line, and we will also pray to God, I'm like, no. Don't pray to God. Go back and double-check your fucking plan for getting us out of this situation. What the fuck? I believe deeply in religious freedom, but I am not down with politicians who end every speech by saying, and may God bless the United States of America. I do not enjoy Majority Leader of the House, Mike Johnson, introducing legislation by holding a prayer meeting in the House, because I'm agnostic. So then, I decided to do some racism due diligence on myself. I asked myself how I would feel if a Jew came to my door and asked for my vote. The answer was simple. If it were a left-wing Jew, I'd vote for them. If it was a right-wing Jew, I'd open the door and I'd say, I have no idea what it means, but it sounds awesome, and they would probably go away pretty quickly. So then I upped the ante. Let's just say a left-wing Jew came to my door to ask for my vote, and he was wearing a yarmulke. Well, before he opened his mouth or handed me a pamphlet, I'd say, "What, you're wearing a yarmulke? You want to be Prime Minister of Canada? You may be a Jew, but you're also a fool. You know nothing about marketing? Also, where do you stand on foreskins? Barbaric cultural practice or Slick Willie?"
Bill Clinton was Jewish?
No, Pi. They called him Slick Willie because his name was Bill and he was very slick. He was not Jewish, but some people thought he was the first black president. A Jew is electable in Canada. A few have been, but probably not wearing a yarmulke. A Sikh is electable in Canada. A few have been, but a PM wearing a turban from coast to coast to coast? I'd like to say I'm not sure, but I am sure, and the answer is, unfortunately, probably not electable.
We've got company.
Matthew, good Bible names, boys. I heard you talking religion and politics. I thought I'd pop in.
Oh, Lord. Surprise. Yeah, well, condolences on the Pope, first of all, and thanks for popping in. I mean, who better to discuss the separation of church and state than you, Your Holiness, sir?
Call me G.
G, okay. I'm concerned about the NDP. Jagmeet Singh campaigning in Quebec in his turban. I mean, how's that going to go? Because, you know, God, as you know, Bill 22 in Quebec forbids people working in the public sector from wearing religious symbols. Wear a turban and you can't be a cop, you can't be a teacher, you can't be a judge. So imagine, just for a second, God, imagine you're a teacher, you can't wear a turban, but the top public sector worker, i.e. the Prime Minister, could wear a turban. I mean, damn, that almost sounds like the monarchy.
And that is why I gave you people the notwithstanding clause. By the way, I saw Rene the other day. He's good, comb over has grown out a little, the scar in his back from the knife has healed nicely, but he's still chain smoking, and that does disturb me a little bit. Anyway, I digress.
Look, I actually don't know a lot about Sikhism.
Well, obviously, I'm not Sikh, but the gods all hang out together. Wahe Guru was telling me the other day that Sikh beliefs are very simple, very simple. Have compassion, charity, equality, justice, service to humanity, you know, all the woke stuff.
Well, that sounds like the NDP platform.
Exactly my point. Jagmeet's platform and Jagmeet's cultural and religious teachings are identical. Care and kindness for all, very simple.
Well, that's a good point, God. I mean, thanks for sharing. Look, while I have you here, I just wanted to mention, I mean, you're a God of some means, and we're on a bit of a funding drive here at Yes We Canada. I'm wondering if you might consider making a monthly donation at yeswecanada.com/buzzsprout.com so we can keep the pod commercial free. I mean, look, even $3 a month helps.
You take PayPal?
We certainly do.
Done. Love the pod, Matthew. Look, gotta run, I gotta go vote.
You vote in Canada?
Just provincially.
Wait. How does that work? What do you mean? You don't vote in the federal elections?
Well, I do vote federally in all the provinces. 13 times.
Well, that's not democratic. God, it's supposed to be one man, Oh, right. Well, I guess, what is it, like one God, 13 votes? Is that the way you roll?
I am, as you know, the first influencer. Anyway, I gotta fly. See you later.
Good. Another donor. Okay, so the table is set. Now you know the players, the issues, and we've covered all the biases. It's the most consequential election of our times. But one question remains, and it's a big one. What is the potentially devastating impact on our American exceptionalist audience? There is no potentially devastating impact on our American exceptional audience. As usual, you are fine. You are the elephant. We are the pimple on your butt. As Obama says, elections have consequences. Well, see you next time. We gotta go and have some consequences. This has been Yes We Canada. Our announcer is Lisa Evans. Our sound designer and engineer is Pi Salen Cutler. The theme to the show was written by Doug Wild and myself and performed by Manteca. You can become a supporter of the show by going to yeswecanada.com/buzzsprout.com and then hit support. We really appreciate your help. Until next time.